God be in my mouth and in my speaking. Amen. Please be seated. Good morning, St. Albans. I'm very excited to see that so many of you survived the winter blast of 2023. I don't know if it has a name yet, but way to go. We got through it. We had quite a day here yesterday. You may have seen the rolled up carpets on the outside of the church when you walked in this morning, and you may have seen the buckets and the mops and the brooms and the dustpan. We had a burst pipe in the ceiling above the parish office yesterday about 4 o'clock. And I knew it had been frozen all day, and I had spent the whole day with my head in the ceiling looking for a non-existing shut-off valve. And finally, by mid-afternoon, the thermostat started reading higher temperatures. And I thought, and the guy from our heating company thought, that meant that the supply lines were good and the heaters were working. And he said, go home. We're in the clear. And it was only about 15 or 20 minutes later, I don't know how long, it was long enough to build a fire and get into my long johns. And then a pounding at the door, and Rashida, who cleans our building, was there saying, come quick, there's water everywhere. And so I ran down here and I looked in, there were 2 inches of water in the parish office. And there was water coming from the ceiling like a water hose, just somebody. And so I ran down and I turned the water main off. And I ran back in here and I pulled everything that was plugged into an electrical outlet out of the wall so that we wouldn't get electrocuted standing in a puddle of water. And we called the wardens, Mary Beth and David, and they called the vestry. And right at that time, David Klimkowski showed up with 3 of our family folk who are staying here with us in the church, and they'd gone grocery shopping. And so, as I'm on the phone trying to hire a company to come and clean up, I noticed that a couple of our family members here who were staying with us just sort of got to work. They started scooping water with a dustpan into a bucket and filling the bucket and running it outside and bailing water. And over the course of the next 20 minutes, six vestry members showed up and started following suit, started pushing water out of the office into the foyer, scooping it up with a dustpan into a bucket, bailing it, walking it outside. And then Chris Calloway showed up and said, I'm going to buy a shop vac. And I don't know how, it was a small miracle, but he got the drill-ins and back in like 90 seconds. And then, just as the water was up, but we were starting to really kind of assess and deep clean, the 12 children showed up. It was perfect timing, right? And we had to figure out if the water could be restored to the building for the night, because remember, the water means heat, and water means cooking, and water means toilets. And we're hosting 17 people. Or, if at dinner time, we would have to figure out a backup plan for a place for people to sleep, which we did. We made a backup plan, and it was ready to go, just in case. But then, good old Dr. Sedlak, with his calm focus of an emergency room surgeon, right, just said, hey, let's just cap the pipe and turn the water back on. And so, he went to Home Depot. We ordered 10 pizzas from DePietro's, which they somehow made in 30 minutes. We got them in here, we fed everybody, and Jeff showed up with Pipe Scorer and Shark Bites. If you don't know what Shark Bites are, this is like a revolution in plumbing. You just pop it on the end of the pipe and it's done. And so we did a shark bite, we capped, we said our prayers, we turned the water back on, and the fitting held. And the water water was back on, we were back in business, we had a kitchen, we had toilets, we had heat. The cold snap was turning. We were in the clear for the night. And so I breathed a sigh of relief that we would not be schlepping 17 mattresses to our backup locations. And as the cleanup effort continued and as our shift volunteers for Greater Portland Family Promise arrived and they carried forward their nightly work almost as usual. So while I was trying to call plumbers and ServPro early in the crisis, our people were incredible. And I'm especially including our Greater Portland Family Promise families. They pioneered the method that we ended up using to clean this up. And they got right to work. And with a little focus and teamwork, we became plumbers. We became ServPro so that we could carry on being the church. So that we could carry on serving in love. By the time I realized that we could do the work ourselves, we had done the work ourselves. As I said, it was quite a day here yesterday. So, at about 10:30 last night, as I was getting in bed, I got a text from Dr. Sedlak. How's it going over there? Things are good, I said. Thank you so much for capping the pipe. Great idea. And Jeff shot back. I've dealt with leaky tubes for 40 years. And that is exactly what Jesus meant by salt of the earth and the light of the world. And I couldn't think of any better a segue into the gospel. Obviously, I had to pivot to the gospel somewhere here, you know. That's what the salt of the earth is and the light of the world. And how such a small amount of it, right? Such a small amount of salt can make all the difference in the dish that we're preparing. Such a small amount of light can really be enough light to guide our path through the darkness, right? It doesn't take very much, does it? And Jesus tells us that what happens if salt loses its saltiness is that it becomes useless, right? We have to throw it away. And so I've read commentaries and heard so many sermons on these two words, salt and light, and I'm sure that if you have lots of experience in the church, you have too. And there are often interesting ways of focusing on the value of salt in the time period that we're talking about, or the metaphor of salt. But as I read it this time, the focus for me is less on the metaphor and more as an expression of ontology. Ontology is a division of philosophy concerned with the study of being. Being itself. The beingness of a thing. The whatness of what it is. In Latin, it's quiddity. It's isness. So salt, right? It has one job, to be salt. It seasons, it preserves. But if it doesn't do those things, it isn't itself. It has lost its quiddity. And if it tries to be something it isn't, it's useless. And that reminds me of that famous quote from Oscar Wilde. Be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. Authenticity and being truly the person God made you to be, and no one else, is key to finding joy and purpose and fulfillment in our lives. And the same thing that's true for us as individuals, I believe, is true for us as the body of Christ. The church must be the church. The people of God must be the people of God. For if we try to be something else, a place to socialize, a political action organization, those things are already taken, and it's not who we are. Our story here is that the love of God has been made unmistakably known to us in Jesus. And so our job is to be the church, to follow Jesus in the way of love. And by the way, I'm not talking about an institution or a hierarchy. I'm talking about being the people who follow Jesus in the way of love, of people who add value to the world by doing what is right, by loving others, by serving others, and proclaiming the love that Jesus taught us, and proclaiming him as our Lord. If we lose that, church, we have lost our quiddity. We've become something else. But we are salt and light. We add value by doing right. And that is exactly our calling. That is exactly how God wants to use us. So that even the smallest of our contributions, even little old St. Albans, can make a profound impact. And I believe we are making an impact right now in the lives of those who are our guests with us. We are. But just as importantly, I believe they are making an impact on us. They're making a difference in our congregational life. They are salt and light back to us. And so, that's the sermon this morning. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget why you're here. Because we are salt and light. Amen.
Amen.